As a bridge operator, it's always important to make sure things run smoothly and safely, because it could take one huge mistake or a slight mistake to cause a disaster. Most of the times things run smoothly without any incidents. However, there are times when accidents or disasters occur due to bridge operating error. But in the case of Cleveland, Ohio, back in 1974, there was an accident unlike any other. On May 8, 1974, Penn Central train OV-8 was making its way through the early morning darkness. The train departed Columbus, Ohio last night at 9:10 p.m. on May 7, 1974, and it was en route towards Cleveland, Ohio. Further up the line in Cleveland, Ohio, was a DB or drawbridge interlocking. At 3:49 a.m., the operator of the drawbridge reported to the dispatcher that an eastbound train passed through the drawbridge. The dispatcher then informed the drawbridge operator that OV-8 would be next to cross through. At 3:52 a.m., the drawbridge operator contacted the crew of OV-8 to cross over from track 1 to track 2 and proceed through the bridge. Here's the following radio conversation between the drawbridge operator and OV-8. Drawbridge to OV-8. LV-8. All clear ahead of you now, OV-8. Oh, read that again? All clear ahead of you now, OV-8. You can highball right along. Roger. Those were the last few words those men would ever exchange to each other. The train consists of 2 engines, 89 loaded cars, 4 empties, and a caboose at the end of the train. With Penn Central GP35 number 2318 and Penn Central GP40 number 3024. 53-year-old E.J. Coaster was the engineer, and 20-year-old Ronald M. Connor was the fireman. Engineer E.J. started working for the Penn Central in 1941 as a fireman, and then later became the engineer 10 years later in 1951, while fireman Ronald joined the Penn Central in 1971. There was also supposed to be a brakeman on board, but never showed up for work. Let's get back to that in a little bit. OV-8 was making good time as it was making its way towards the bridge. The crew still thought they still have an all clear to proceed past through the bridge, right? Little did they know, they were wrong. The DB operator just remembered that there was a U.S. Corps of Engineers boat that was waiting to pass through, and has been sitting since 3:20 a.m. So he immediately raised the bridge up in the air so the boat could finally pass through. However, he had totally forgotten about OV-8 that was still flying through without slowing down or stopping. Up ahead was a red signal. As always, when you see a red signal, you will need to stop your train. The train bypassed the red signal, and then... The sight was awful. The PC train slammed into the bridge at 3:56 a.m., traveling between 30 and 50 miles an hour according to an eyewitness. When the locomotive slammed into the bridge, dead cabs and car bodies were completely crushed, like using a car crusher to crush a car. 2318's underframe went through the bridge and was hanging dangerously over the edge of the bridge. The first 3 cars up front derailed, but remained upright, but the first car suffered damage after it collided into the crushed locomotives. The next 10 cars remained on the rails and did not derail. However, car 14 through 28 derailed and some were jackknifed during the crash. And sadly, the engineer and the fireman were killed instantly after being crushed to death. The investigation was soon launched by the National Transportation Safety Board. As expected, multiple errors were found, including the DB operator failing to let the crew of OV-8 know that they actually have to wait for a boat to pass. The crew of OV-8 failing to acknowledge a red signal by the bridge. As mentioned before, there was supposed to be a brakeman on board, but he never showed up for work. Maybe if he saw the red signal, maybe he will be the only one to let the crew know they have to stop, but who knows. It was also discovered that the train was speeding. As it was approaching the bridge, it was traveling between 30 and 50 miles an hour. The track speed for the bridge is 30 miles an hour. If the crew did notice the red signal up ahead, they could have at least stopped their train, contact the dispatcher and the drawbridge operator on why they have the red signal, and this accident would have been preventable. In the end, 2318 and 3024 were both deemed a total loss and they were both scrapped.